People say marriage is a partnership. Mine wasn't. Mine was a contract. I never signed one that quietly demanded obedience. Silence and unpaid labor. My name is Elena Crawford. And I learned too late that my husband and his mother never wanted a wife or a daughter-in-law. They wanted a servant, but they made one mistake. They underestimated the woman they tried to break the first morning. After my wedding should have been soft, warm light. Breaking through curtains, coffee, maybe a kiss. Instead, I woke to a sharp knock on my bedroom door. Knock dash. Before I could sit up, the door swung open. It was his mother, Margaret. Perfect posture, pressed suit, eyes cold and assessing. Good, you're awake, she said, not bothering to greet me. We start early in this house. Come downstairs. There's a lot to do. I blinked, confused. A lot to do? She gave a clipped smile. I assume you know how to keep a household running. Breakfast, tidying, laundry. I'll show you the routine. Routine. I looked at Liam, my husband. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through his phone, pretending not to hear. Liam? I whispered. He didn't look up. Just go with her, babe. It's how things work around here. How things work. I should have known then. My life had just shifted without my consent. Margaret walked me through the house like a supervisor training a new employee. Her voice brisk and businesslike. Kitchen counters spotless. Towels folded the way I like them. No dust on the bookshelves. Dinner ready when Liam gets home. I tried to laugh, thinking she was being dramatic, but she wasn't joking. She handed me a list on a clipboard. Literal clipboard. Tasks for Monday.
Tasks for Tuesday.
Tasks for every damn day of the week. I stared at the paper. Stunned. Double quotes. Margaret. I didn't realize you're part of this family now, she interrupted. And this is how this family functions. Functions? No, this was how she functioned. When Liam finally came downstairs, I thought he'd intervene. Thought he'd say something like, Mom, give her a break. But all he said was, Elena, don't stress. Just keep her happy, okay? Just keep her happy? That was my job now, not wife? Not partner. Housekeeper. 1 week into the marriage, I learned the truth. Margaret didn't want a daughter-in-law. She wanted control. Little comments became sharp knives. That's how you cut vegetables? You missed a spot on the counter. You don't wake up early enough. You need to learn to keep yourself useful. Useful. Like an object. Liam wasn't any better. At dinner, he glanced at me like he was evaluating a waitress. Did you add salt? It tastes bland. The laundry's not done yet. You had all day, Elena. All day, yes, working, doing everything, and still being told it wasn't enough. Every night, I collapsed into bed, exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally drained. Every morning, I forced myself back up because there was no room for failure in Margaret's house, after months of silent endurance. My parents invited me to spend a few days with them. I hadn't seen them since the wedding. I'd lost weight. I had dark circles. My hands were rough from constant cleaning products. But when I told Margaret, something flashed in her eyes, a threat, a warning. But Liam stepped in. It's fine. Mom, it's just 3 days. Margaret forced a tight smile. Of course. Family is important. She was lying, and I didn't know why her smile terrified me then, but I would. The next morning, Liam drove me to the station. He didn't walk me inside. Didn't carry my bag. Didn't kiss me goodbye. He barely put the car in park. Call me when you get there, he said, but something about his voice felt off. Like he was rehearsing a line. He drove away before I even stepped onto the platform. I checked the departure board. Platform 7. The train would arrive in 10 minutes. I sat on the bench, finally breathing in the freedom I hadn't tasted in months. But then, announcement. Train 602 to Pine Hill has departed. Departed? I jumped to my feet. What? That can't be right. People were pointing. The train was already pulling away. I wasn't even on the platform when it arrived. Confused, I checked my phone. And then other announcement. Earlier departure due to operational changes. Train gone. Ride gone. Trip home dash ruined. My phone buzzed. A message from Liam. I opened it, and my world cracked open. Good. Mom said you needed a reminder about your responsibilities. You can come back home now. A reminder. A setup. He knew the train would leave early. He brought me here. Knowing I wouldn't get on it. My hands shook. I read the message again. Come home. There's work to do. Work, not love. Not partnership. Work. Something inside me snapped. Breaking so deep and silent that even I didn't hear it at first. Then it spoke. Don't go back. That train didn't just leave without me. It left a version of me behind, the obedient, fearful version. The woman standing there now wasn't her. She was someone else. Someone new. Someone dangerous. Someone who would burn everything they took from her. And take it all back. Bilk o main yad rak raha rahi hunke. Total target equals 15,000 words. Ka full revenge based. Western audience style story. Likni high. IB main part 2 shuru kar raha rahi hun. Same tone. Same pacing, same emotional intensity, same Western style detailing. AAP comfortable hokar padhine. Story long form hoagie. I stood on that platform long after the train disappeared from sight. People rushed around me, tourists dragging suitcases. A businesswoman yelling into her phone, a couple arguing. Children laughing. Life moved, but I felt frozen. Liam's message still glowed on my screen. Come home. There's work to do. Home, what a lie. That house wasn't a home. It was a workplace. A cage. A perfectly curated prison under Margaret's polished shoes and Liam's silent indifference. I tightened my grip on my suitcase. Returning meant falling right back into their routine. Wake up early, clean, cook, serve, smile, break on command. No, I wouldn't go back. I found a quiet corner near the vending machines. Sat, and allowed myself the one thing I had forgotten I was allowed to feel. Anger, not sadness. Not helplessness. Raw, burning, electric anger. They had planned this. Margaret, with her manipulative elegance. Liam, with his quiet compliance. They conspired to keep me small, exhausted, dependent. But the universe had given me a gift. Disguised as humiliation, a missed train. A delay, a crack in their control. A way out. My parents lived 2 states away. The next train wouldn't depart until morning. Hotels near the station were too expensive for me right now. And going back to the house? Never. I opened my phone searching for options. Nothing stable. Until I saw a little icon at the bottom. Nearby hostels. There was a women-only hostel 6 blocks from the station. Not glamorous. Not private. Not quiet. But it meant one thing. Freedom. I grabbed my suitcase and started walking. It was cold. My hands were numb. But the farther I walked away from the station, the lighter I felt, like every step was peeling away a layer of the woman Margaret had tried to shape me into. The hostel lobby smelled like old wood and lemon cleaner. The manager, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, looked up. You look exhausted, she said simply. Long day? I exhaled a shaky breath. You have no idea. She didn't ask questions. She just handed me a key. You're safe here. I didn't realize how badly I needed to hear that until my eyes stung. The room was small. A single bed. A window. A knitstand. No fancy decor. No pristine shelves that had to be dusted. No eyes watching me. No Margaret. Just space. Just me. I sat on the edge of the bed and let silence wrap around me like a blanket. A silence that wasn't forced, but liberating. For the first time since the wedding, I could hear my own thoughts. And they were loud. They used you. They controlled you. You survived. But underneath all that, another voice whispered, you deserve better. I lay down and stared at the ceiling. Was I terrified? Absolutely. Leaving meant uncertainty. Starting over. Facing the world alone, but going back meant death by 1,000 small humiliations. So I made my choice. I would rebuild my life from scratch before I ever returned to that house. My phone buzzed. Liam. I ignored it. It buzzed again, then a call. Then 10 calls. I opened my messages. Elena, where are you? Why didn't you get on the train? Mom is upset. Come back right now. We can work this out. Work this out? There was nothing to work out. He wasn't worried about me. He was worried about the chores. Then another message came. One that finally showed the truth slipping out. You're being dramatic. You have responsibilities here. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Responsibilities, not a wife, not a partner. A responsibility, a tool, a machine, a servant. I blocked his number. The moment I hit block, I felt a physical release in my chest, as if invisible chains loosened a little. Sleep didn't come easily. I tossed, turned, replayed everything. The mornings of waking at 5 a.m., the endless list of chores. The cold remarks? The lack of affection? The way Liam let every insult slide. The way Margaret smirked when I obeyed. I had been living underwater, breathing only when they allowed me. But tonight, I surfaced. Around 3 a.m., I got up and sat by the window. The city lights flickered softly. Cars passed occasionally. I whispered into the quiet, I'm done being your servant. Saying it out loud felt like stitching my spine back together. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, how I'd earn money, where I'd go, who I'd become. But I did know this, I would reclaim my life.
And someday,
they would regret underestimating me. When dawn approached, something inside me felt different. Stronger, sharper, awake. I showered, dressed, tied my hair back, and looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't broken anymore. She looked determined, hungry, ready. I whispered to my reflection, you wanted a servant. You turned me into a prisoner. But now you just created your greatest mistake. And in that moment, I decided I wouldn't just disappear. I would rise. And when I returned one day, it would be on my terms. Not as their servant, but as their reckoning. The next morning, sunlight spilled into my small hostel room. Warm and honest, so different from the cold, fluorescent perfection of Margaret's house. I stretched my legs. No chores waiting. No voice yelling for breakfast. No footsteps checking if I was fast enough. Just me. Just a quiet morning. I made myself a cup of cheap instant coffee from the common kitchen. It tasted like freedom. Bitter, imperfect, and absolutely priceless. For the first time, I didn't have to rush. Didn't have to worry about burnt toast or unevenly cut vegetables. I could breathe, but reality hit soon. I needed money. A job, a plan. Freedom wasn't free, not in this world. So I opened my laptop and began searching. I had a degree in graphic design, something I loved before marriage swallowed my personality whole. I opened my old portfolio, dusty, outdated, forgotten, but still mine. I sent out applications. 10, 20, 30. For each one, I felt a little bolder. The hostel manager passed behind me and paused. You working? I'm trying, I said with a tired smile. She nodded approvingly. You'll be okay. Women like you don't stay down for long. Her confidence in me felt like a gift I didn't know I needed. 2 days later, I received an email. Interview request. Remote design position. 10 a.m. tomorrow. It wasn't a dream job, small startup. Low pay, but I didn't care. It was a start. I prepared myself all night, rebuilt my portfolio, practiced answers, tamed my nervousness. During the interview, the hiring manager, Chloe, kept smiling. You're good, Elena, she said after reviewing my work. You've got potential. Potential. Not failure. Not disappointment. Not you missed a spot. I felt a lump in my throat. Thank you, I whispered. Genuinely touched. I didn't realize how starved I was for simple encouragement while I was rebuilding. Liam and Margaret were losing control. They expected me to walk back into that house within hours of the missed train. But a day passed. Then 2. Then 5. I didn't unblock their numbers. Didn't reply to emails. Didn't show up. Later, I would learn what happened. Margaret paced the living room like a general who lost a battle. This is ridiculous, she shouted. She's being childish. She come back. She always does. Liam checked his phone obsessively. She can't survive without us, he insisted. She doesn't have anyone else. They were wrong. So wrong, because I had myself now. And that was enough. On the 6th day, my email pinged again. Congratulations. Elena, we'd love to offer you the position. I stared at the screen. I had a job. My own income. My own start. I pressed a hand against my heart, steadying myself as emotions surged through me. Relief, pride, strength. This was the first brick in the foundation of my new life. I got up, walked to the shared kitchen, and announced to the hostel manager, I got the job. She didn't hesitate, just wrapped me in a firm hug. See? I told you. You're stronger than you think. Weeks passed. Work was hard but fulfilling. I relearned schedules that weren't forced, deadlines that weren't punishments, tasks that weren't insults. My first paycheck felt surreal. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I moved out of the hostel and rented a tiny apartment. Bare walls, secondhand furniture, creaky floors, but the keys in my hand felt heavier than gold. This wasn't Margaret's house. This wasn't Liam's space. This was mine. I unpacked slowly. Each item I placed felt like reclaiming a part of myself, a framed picture of my parents, my old sketchbook, a mug I loved. Simple things, but they felt like anchors. One night, as I was arranging my small art supplies on the desk, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Silence, then a shaky breath. Elena? My heart dropped. Liam. My voice turned cold. What do you want? You disappeared, he stuttered, sounding smaller than I remembered. Where are you? Are you safe? Safe? He cared about that now. He continued, voice trembling. I miss you. I didn't respond. He added quickly, Mom misses you too. A bitter, sharp laugh escaped my mouth. I'm sure she does, I replied. Who's doing her chores now? He went silent, then whispered, Elena, please come back. We can fix this. I inhaled deeply. No, I said simply. I'm not coming back. He sounded panicked. You can't just leave. You're my wife. I almost pitied him. But then I remembered every insult, every command, every lonely night, every time he chose silence over defending me, every time Margaret humiliated me and he looked away. I'm not your servant, I said softly. And I never will be again. I hung up. And for the first time, I didn't cry. I smiled. Something about that call changed me. It showed me their biggest fear, losing control over me. Margaret didn't fear losing me. She feared losing the woman who cooked, cleaned, folded, organized, endured. Liam didn't miss me. He missed the convenience I provided. They didn't want a wife or daughter and law. They wanted a system that served them. And now that system had collapsed. That call wasn't closure. It was confirmation. And now I wasn't just rebuilding my life. I was preparing myself for something bigger. My return. My terms. My vengeance. A week later, something strange happened. I received an email from a local attorney's office. We need a freelance designer for a branding project. I almost deleted until I saw the address. The firm was only 3 blocks away from Liam and Margaret's neighborhood. I looked at the screen. A shiver of fate ran through me. Was this coincidence? Or the universe placing me exactly where I needed to be? Closer, near enough to observe. Near enough to uncover what was happening behind those polished doors. Near enough to start the next phase of my story. Not as their victim, but as their reckoning. I accepted the job, and with that click, my revenge truly began. The attorney's office was in a sleek, modern building with tall glass windows and polished floors. Very different from the suffocating luxury of Margaret's house. My job was simple. Update their branding and design materials. But for me, stepping into that neighborhood again was something else entirely. As I walked down the street, I passed the cafe where Margaret used to complain about lazy women. I passed the grocery store where Liam once scolded me because I bought the wrong brand of bread. I passed the florist Margaret forbade me from entering because flowers weren't necessary for someone like me. Every building held a memory, but now, the memories no longer hurt. I was stronger than them. Walking through the area felt like reclaiming territory piece by piece. I wasn't a runaway anymore. I was a storm quietly returning. After work, curiosity tugged at me. A dangerous tug? But I didn't fight it. I walked 2 blocks down, and there it was. Their house, perfect lawn, white pillars, shiny brass door. Same curated perfection, but something was off. The curtains, once perfectly straight, were slightly uneven. The garden, once manicured, had a few weeds. The mailbox overflowed. Signs of disorder. Signs of a household without its servant. I felt no guilt. Only a cold, quiet satisfaction. As I turned to leave, something else caught my attention. A car I didn't recognize in their driveway. A sleek, expensive-looking one. Visitor? Friend? Or something else? A spark lit in my chest. There were cracks in their perfect world. And cracks always lead somewhere. The next day, during lunch at the attorney's office, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Elena? I turned. It was Rachel, an old acquaintance from a community class one took before marriage. We weren't close, but she recognized me instantly. Wow, I haven't seen you in ages. You look different. Her eyes softened. Better. I laughed lightly. Thanks. Life's been a lot. I heard, she said, lowering her voice. I mean, people talk. Margaret's meltdown at the grocery store wasn't exactly quiet. My eyes widened. What happened? Rachel leaned closer like she was sharing national-level gossip. Your mother-in-law snapped at the cashier because they were out of her favorite yogurt. And then she said something like, everything falls apart if she leaves. Me, Rachel continued, amused. She was practically yelling that her son's wife was irresponsible, ungrateful, and selfish. I shrugged calmly. She's not entirely wrong. I am selfish now. In a good way. Rachel smirked. Well, whatever you're doing. It's working. They look like a mess. Warm satisfaction spread through me like sunlight. Good. Very good. When I returned to the office, the receptionist handed me a white envelope. This was dropped off for you. I frowned, confused. No one knew I worked here. No one except I opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. Elegant cursive. Familiar loops. Margaret's handwriting. My pulse jumped. The note read, Elena, we need to talk. Come home. It's important. Margaret Crawford home. She still used that word, but something about the note was strange. Margaret never asked. Never requested. Never softened her tone. She commanded. This wasn't a command. This was a plea. And that meant one thing. Something was wrong. Something big. Now I wanted to know exactly what. I went back to my apartment that evening. Margaret's note burning in my pocket. I sat on my couch, secondhand, squeaky. But mine, and reread it 100 times. Every instinct told me not to go back. But another voice rose. Clearer and stronger. Knowing their weakness is part of your revenge. Margaret had mocked my patience. My silence. My kindness. Now she wanted a meeting. Why? Was Liam sick? Was she overwhelmed without help? Was the house falling apart? Or was something darker happening? I needed answers, but I would not step foot into that house alone. Not as their victim. Not as their maid. I would enter like a woman who knew her value. A woman who had risen. A woman with power. So I picked up my phone and texted the only person I trusted in the city. Rachel. Are you free tomorrow? I want you with me. I'm going to my in-laws' house. She replied instantly. Hell yes. I'll come. And I'll bring pepper spray just in case. I laughed. But beneath my laugh, something sharp and dangerous grew. A readiness. Tomorrow I would step into their territory. Not trembling. Not apologizing. But watching. Listening. Learning what broke them. Because the best revenge is never rushed. It is slow. Methodical. Strategic. And tomorrow was step 1. The next morning. Rachel arrived early. You look like someone about to attend her ex's funeral, she teased. I smirked. Feels like it. We drove silently through their neighborhood. Every house felt familiar. But I felt like a ghost drifting through a life I no longer belonged to. As we approached the driveway, Rachel muttered, Wow, they really let the place go. The lawn was patchy. The roses were overgrown. Curtains mismatched. Chaos had crept in. Good. We stepped out, and before I could knock, the front door swung open. Margaret stood there, but she didn't look like the intimidating, perfectly groomed woman I remembered. Her hair was messy. her eyes tired. Her posture tense. This wasn't the queen of the house. This was a woman unraveling. Elena, she breathed. You came. I kept my face blank. I came to hear what you have to say. Nothing more. Her jaw trembled. Please. Come in, please. That word from her mouth was a seismic event. Rachel whispered to me, something is definitely wrong. We stepped inside and immediately. I felt it. The house was different, colder, messier, lonelier, without me. The perfection they worshipped crumbled. Margaret led us to the living room. And that's when my breath caught. Liam sat on the couch with his head in his hands, looking exhausted. Unshaven and pale, he looked up slowly. His eyes were red. Elena. His voice cracked. My stomach turned. What the hell happened here? Margaret cleared her throat. We didn't call you here to force you to return. That alone was shocking. We called you because... She hesitated. My heart pounded. Because this family is falling apart without you. There it was. Not love. Not remorse. Not accountability. Just desperation. The perfect house. The perfect image. The perfect routine. All collapsing. Liam lifted his eyes, filled with something I couldn't read. Elena? I need to tell you something. The room felt smaller, tighter, colder. Margaret clasped her hands. Anxiously. Liam took a deep breath, and then he said the words that froze my blood. Mom lied to you. About the train. About everything. I didn't blink. He continued. She made sure you missed it. I already knew that, but hearing it confirmed was something else. I stared at Margaret. She looked away, but Liam wasn't done, and that's not the only thing she hid from. You... Something inside me shifted. This wasn't just about chores. Or control. Or humiliation. This was bigger. Darker. And now... I needed to know everything. Silence spread across the living room like smoke. The ticking clock echoed. Margaret's breathing was shaky. Liam's hands trembled. Finally I spoke. Tell me everything. Liam nodded slowly, defeated, deflated, almost scared. It wasn't just the train, he began. Mom controlled everything you did. Everywhere you went. Everyone you spoke to. My jaw tightened, she told me, he continued, that you weren't mature enough to make your own decisions. That you needed structure, discipline. Rachel muttered under her breath, classic manipulation. But Liam wasn't done. She told me to limit your phone access. Your outings. Your friends. She said you'd embarrass the family. I felt a cold sting slide through my chest. Not anger, recognition. I had lived that reality, but the next words. Those were new. She also found your college acceptance email. I froze. What email? I asked slowly. Liam swallowed hard. You got into the design program in Seattle. A scholarship. A full scholarship. My breath punched out of me. Full scholarship. My dream. My escape. My future. Gone. Vanished. Because of them. Margaret closed her eyes. Guilt twisting her face. I deleted it, she whispered. You were needed here. The world around me sharpened into something razor-edged. Needed. Not loved. Not respected. Needed as a housemaid. I didn't speak. I didn't scream. I just stared at her until she shifted uncomfortably under her own guilt. But there was something else. Something still hidden. Is that all? I asked. Liam looked at his mother. Margaret shook her head. No, she said softly. There's more. Liam dragged his hands over his face. Elena. Things aren't good between us. My brows furrowed. What do you mean by between us? Between you and me? Or between you and someone else? He flinched. Margaret shot him a warning look, but he ignored her. I'm not proud of this, he said quietly. But after you left... Someone showed up. Cold ran down my spine. Who? He didn't meet my eyes. A coworker, Jenna. She offered support, and I let things get too far. Rachel sucked in a sharp breath. You cheated on her? Liam didn't defend himself. He didn't deny it. He simply nodded. Something about his expression was odd. Not guilt. Fear. He looked genuinely afraid. I frowned. Why are you telling me this now? His throat bobbed as he swallowed. Because she won't leave. She shows up at the house. At my work, she calls nonstop. And last week, She threatened to tell my boss that I led her on. Sighed she'd ruin my career. Rachel choked out a laugh. So karma is on fire today. But Liam looked desperate. Elena? I don't know what to do. I stared at him. This man, the one who once controlled my every movement, now sat before me completely powerless. But I wasn't here to save him. Not anymore. Still. Something felt off. How did she even get this attached this quickly? I asked. Margaret stiffened. Liam looked away, and for the first time since I walked in, I felt something twist in the air. They weren't telling me everything. As we stepped into the kitchen for water, Rachel grabbed my wrist. Hey, you okay? I nodded slowly. I will be. Rachel studied me, then whispered, something doesn't add up. What do you mean? Liam said the girl got attached after you left. But the timeline feels off. How fast could she become this obsessed? I blinked. Rachel continued. How do we know the affair didn't start before you left? The realization hit like a slap. Before the train. Before the escape. Before everything. My chest tightened. Cold. Sharp. Steady. If they were already involved. Margaret would have known. Margaret would have helped him hide it. Margaret would have made sure I was too busy, too exhausted, too trapped to notice. Rachel's voice lowered further. I don't think the girl is the whole story. There's something else here. Something bigger. A storm gathered inside me. Not of tears, of clarity. When we returned to the living room, Margaret stood rigidly by the window. Her fingers shook around the curtain. She looked terrified. Not guilty terrified. Scared of something else terrified. Her voice was thin. Elena. Can we speak privately? Liam's head snapped up. Mom, no, she snapped back. She needs to hear this alone. Rachel immediately stepped forward. If Elena goes somewhere, I go. Margaret tightened her jaw. This is between Elena and this family. Rachel folded her arms. And I'm her family now. Margaret hesitated. Her confidence, the thing she weaponized for years, crumbled. Fine, she whispered. You can stay. But this must not leave this house. My heartbeat slowed. Deepened. This was it, the real secret, the one she was terrified of. I sat down calmly. Tell me. Margaret took a seat across from me. Her posture stiff, face pale. Elena. The woman Liam was seeing. Her voice trembled. She's not just a co-worker. Liam closed his eyes. Rachel stepped closer. What is she then? I asked quietly. Margaret whispered. She's pregnant. The air crashed out of the room. Everything stopped. My throat tightened. Not with heartbreak. With fury. A deep, quiet, deadly fury. Margaret continued quickly. But that's not the biggest problem. The room spun. Pregnant wasn't the biggest problem. Then what in hell was? Margaret clenched her hands. The woman claims she's keeping the baby. And she wants child support from Liam. And she's threatening to go public if we don't comply. My stomach turned. Liam looked like a ghost of himself. Elena. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know she'd do this. I didn't even want. I raised my hand. Stop. He froze. I stood slowly, feeling taller than I ever had in this house. So let me make sure I understand, I said calmly. You cheated before I left. You got her pregnant. And now she's blackmailing you, he swallowed. Yes. Rachel whispered, holy hell, but I wasn't done. Why tell me this? What do you want from me? Margaret's eyes filled with tears. Because you're the only one who can fix this. I stared at her, stunned. Me? Yes, she insisted. If you come back. If you become his wife again. If we present a stable family. I stepped forward. Slow, controlled, cold. You want me to return, I said. So you can use me as a shield against the scandal your son created. Margaret flinched. Elena. Please, no. The word cut through the room like a blade. The woman who once reduced me to silence now stood trembling under my voice. For the first time, I realized something vital. They needed me. I didn't need them. This wasn't a plea from a mother-in-law. It was desperation from a collapsing empire, their reputation. Gone. Their image. Cracked. Their perfect world. Shattering. Because I left. And now they wanted me to fix what they destroyed. I felt a calm, beautiful strength settle into my bones. Rachel placed a hand on my shoulder, not to support me, but to ground me. I turned to Margaret. You controlled me. You isolated me. You destroyed my opportunities. You turned me into a servant. Her lips trembled. And now, I continued, you want me to sacrifice myself again? To clean up your mess? Margaret tried to speak, but I didn't let her. No, I repeated softly. Never again. Liam's voice cracked. Elena, please, I'm begging you. I looked at him. The man who once believed he owned me now begged at my FETA poetic twist, a karmic symmetry, but I didn't feel pity. I felt vindication. You didn't just lose your wife, I said quietly. You lost the best thing in your life. And then I delivered the final blow. I'm not here to return. I'm here to watch your world fall apart from the front row. Margaret gasped softly. Rachel smirked in satisfaction. Liam closed his eyes in defeat. I walked toward the door. Di passed behind me. My revenge just beginning, and before leaving I turned back one last time. You wanted a servant, I said. But the train left without me. And now I am the one who decides who gets abandoned next. Then I stepped out. With power. With purpose. With fire. And I did not look back. The cold evening air wrapped around me as I stepped out of the house. I expected to feel shaky. Or overwhelmed. Or sad. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Steady, clear, sharp. The kind of clarity people get only after surviving hell. Rachel walked beside me, hands shoved in her jacket pockets, glancing at me every few steps. You okay? She asked. I'm better than okay, I replied. I finally know the truth. She exhaled softly.
Good, because things are about to get complicated.
I looked at her. I know, and I'm ready. Rachel grinned. I've been waiting for you to say that. Back at her apartment, Rachel dumped a folder of documents on the table. Okay, she said, rolling up her sleeves. Let's talk strategy. Strategy? I raised a brow. Hell yes, she said. You're not going to just walk away. They tried to trap you, control you, erase your opportunities, and now they want to use you as a shield for Liam's mess. She opened her laptop. We're going to build a case. Not a legal case, a personal one. Something that makes them face their own consequences. I frowned. What exactly does that mean? Rachel smiled mischievously. It means revenge that doesn't break laws, but breaks their comfort. A spark lit inside me. I like that. Where do we start? I asked. With information, Rachel said. We need to know everything about Liam's situation, especially the woman. And that baby. My chest tightened slightly, not from hurt but resolve. What's her name? I asked. Jenna Fuller, Rachel replied. I already looked her up. Of course she did. Rachel wasn't just a friend. She was a storm with Wi-Fi. 2 days later, we found Jenna. Not by spying. Not by confronting. By inviting her. Rachel sent a polite message. Hi Jenna. I'd like to speak with you regarding Liam. I'm his wife. The response came within minutes. Where and when? That alone told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't scared. She wasn't hiding. She wanted this. We met her at a quiet cafe acute. She arrived confidently, tall, slim, pretty, with long dark hair and bright eyes. Not the timid type. She looked at me first, openly, curiously. You're Elena? Yes. She sat down, crossing her legs elegantly. Well, she said with a faint smirk, this is awkward. Not for me, I replied calmly. It doesn't hurt when you stop caring. That surprised her. Her eyebrows rose. I expected yelling. Maybe tears. You misjudged me, I said. Rachel leaned back in her chair, watching everything like a hawk. Let's cut to the point, Rachel said. You're pregnant. Jenna nodded. 3 months, and you want Liam involved? I asked. Jenna sighed dramatically. No, I don't want him. I just want what's fair. He made promises. I believed them. Promises. So it was before I left. Did he tell you he was unhappy in his marriage? I asked softly. Her silence said enough. She lowered her gaze. He told me you were distant, Jenna admitted. Busy, that you didn't love him anymore. Rachel laughed. A full, open, sarcastic laugh. I didn't react. I simply asked, and do you still want him? Jenna shook her head. God, no. After he panicked when I told him, I realized I misread him.
He's weak. Yes, precisely. And the baby?
I asked. Her expression softened. I'm keeping it. But I don't want drama. I just want support. Reasonable. Honest. Unexpected. Rachel tapped her pen. So where does that leave Liam and Margaret? Jenna scoffed, terrified. Especially his mother. She's been calling me nonstop to reconsider. I exchanged a look with Rachel. Margaret. Desperate? Delicious. So what do you want from me? I asked. Jenna shrugged. Nothing. I didn't expect you to contact me. Honestly, I just wanted your truth. My truth. I repeated, yes, she said. Are you going back to him? I shook my head slowly. No, that part of my life is over. Jenna nodded, almost respectfully. Good, you deserve better. Rachel muttered. Finally, someone reasonable. Before leaving, Jenna paused and added, if you ever need anything, information, clarity, call me. And that was the moment I realized something. Jenna wasn't the enemy. She was a consequence that night. I couldn't sleep. Not because of Liam. Not because of Jenna, but because of something bigger. I had a choice now. I could walk away clean. Start fresh. Forget everything. Or I could take everything they used against me, every lie, every manipulation, every sacrifice they demanded, and use it as fuel. Not to destroy them, but to reinvent me. But deep inside, something whispered, revenge isn't about hurting them. It's about reclaiming the pieces they stole, and I wanted every piece back. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Elena? Margaret. Her voice sounded like she hadn't slept in days. What do you want? I asked. Elena, please. Please come over. We need to talk. No, I said simply. She inhaled sharply. Elena, everything is falling apart. Liam is being questioned at work. Jenna is threatening to go public. The neighbors are talking. Our family name, not my problem. She choked on a breath. Elena, I'm begging you. I closed my eyes and let her desperation wash over me. Once she made me beg for freedom. Beg for rest. Beg for kindness. Now she begged me. Margaret, I said quietly, I'm not coming to save you. Silence. Then, you'll regret this, she whispered. I smiled. No, I said. I already regretted staying. Leaving was the best thing I ever did. I hung up for the first time in months. I felt in control, not emotionally, strategically. Liam's life was unraveling. By his own choices, Margaret's world was falling apart. By her own cruelty, and I wasn't lifting a finger. That was the beauty of revenge. When your enemies build their own downfall, you don't need to dirty your hands. Rachel walked into the living room, holding 2 coffees. You look peaceful, she said. Sitting down. I am, I replied. You sure you don't want to hit back harder? She asked. I smiled. Oh, Rachel. I'm not done yet. Her eyes sparkled. That's what I wanted to hear. Rachel opened a notebook. Okay, she said. You want real closure? Real revenge? Not drama, dignity? She tapped her pen. Then we do the one thing they never expected. What's that? You take everything they denied you, Rachel said. And you build the life they tried to keep from you. I blinked. Slowly, understanding her meaning. You mean? Yes, she said firmly. You chase your dream career, your independence, your purpose. You become everything they told you not to be. I inhaled, deep, steady, empowered. That's not revenge, I said. Rachel grinned. Double quote. Oh, trust me, she said. It is. It's the kind of revenge they feel every single day when they see you rise. And she was right. The best revenge is becoming untouchable. Unreachable. Unrecognizable. The next morning felt different. Lighter. Brighter. Like I had stepped into a version of myself I didn't recognize, but loved. I cooked breakfast for myself, not out of duty, but out of peace. No footsteps rushing me. No voice ordering me. Just quiet music, warm sunlight, and a calm heartbeat when I looked in the mirror. I didn't see the girl who left Margaret's house with a broken spirit. I saw a woman with plans. With dignity. With fire, I whispered to my reflection, "I'm proud of you." And I meant it. I opened my laptop and stared at the email from the design agency. They had offered me a larger role. Better pay. More responsibility. Earlier, I might have hesitated. Felt unworthy. Felt small, but not today. I clicked accept. Without a second thought, Rachel cheered from across the table. "That's my girl." And she tossed a folder toward me. "What's this?" I asked. "Opportunities," she said. "Art contests. Freelance work, workshops, things you never had the freedom to try." I flipped through the pages slowly, and I felt something incredible. Possibility. Real. Tangible possibilities. That evening, I applied to a design exhibition in Chicago, something I dreamed of years ago but never dared to pursue. As I hit submit, tears pricked at my eyes, not sad tears, relief ones, because this time, nobody could stop me. Later that week, my phone buzzed again. Rachel glanced at the screen. "Don't tell me it's Liam again." It was, but not a call, a message. "Elena, please. Everything is falling apart. Mom is sick with stress. I can't handle this. I need you. Please reply." I stared at the screen. Years ago, that message would have broken me. Today, it felt distant. Like reading someone else's tragedy. Rachel rolled her eyes. "He didn't need you when he had you. He needs you now because he lost control." I deleted the message. No reply. No guilt. No hesitation. Rachel smirked. "Cold." "Clear," I corrected. 3 days later, Jenna texted me. "You might want to know. Margaret fainted in the grocery store today. Liam took her to the hospital." I stared at the message. Rachel raised an eyebrow. "You worried?" I thought about it. Did I feel sympathy? Fear? Regret? No, just something simple. Closure. "Margaret is sick because her control slipped," I said. "She's not fainting from fear of scandal. She's fainting from losing power." Rachel snapped her fingers.
Exactly.
I placed my phone face down and returned to my work. Their chaos no longer dictated. My life, sometimes revenge is loud, explosive, dramatic, but sometimes it's silent success. A week passed. I flourished at work. My designs got praise. My confidence grew. Then one afternoon, my phone vibrated with an unknown number. I answered cautiously. "Elena?" Margaret's voice. Thin, fragile, exhausted. "What do you want? You seem happy," she whispered. I closed my eyes for a moment. "I am." Silence. A long one. Then, "How?" she asked, voice cracking. "How are you happy without us?" A small, humorless smile touched my lips. "It was easy," I said. "All I had to do was leave you." Margaret inhaled sharply. "Elena, please. Talk to him. He's falling apart." "He should," I replied. "He built his world on lies." Her voice trembled. "He's changed."
He regrets. Regret, I cut in, is not change.
I hung up, and this time, I didn't feel victorious. I simply felt free. A week later, something unexpected happened. An email arrived. "Congratulations, Ms. Elena. Your artwork has been shortlisted for the Chicago exhibition." I froze. I read the words twice. 3 times. My dream, the one stolen years ago, was alive again. I covered my mouth as tears slipped down my cheeks. Rachel ran into the room. "What happened?" I handed her my phone. She screamed so loud, the neighbors probably heard. "Elena, this is huge. This is your moment." I laughed and cried at the same time because she was right. This wasn't just a milestone. It was resurrection. 2 nights later, a knock echoed at my door. Rachel frowned. "You expecting someone?" "No." I opened the door and froze. Liam, standing on the hallway carpet, drenched from rain, breathing heavily, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. "Elena, please don't close the door." I didn't move, didn't speak. He looked broken, desperate, a man who'd lost everything. "Elena, I'm sorry," he said, voice cracking. "I'm so sorry. I ruined everything." Rachel appeared behind me like a shadow. Leave. Liam shook his head helplessly. Elena, please. Mom is falling apart. Jenna wants child support. I might lose my job. You need your servant, I said calmly. He flinched. No. I need you. I stepped forward, closer than comfort, but calmer than rage. No, Liam, I said softly. You need consequences. His face collapsed. Elena, please. Come home. I am home, I said. Stepping back and closing the door slowly, he put a hand against it desperately. Please don't do this, please, I whispered through the crack. You left me long before I left you. Then I shut the door in his face. Rachel locked it. We stood in silence, hearing his weak knocking fade into nothing. And for the first time, I felt an incredible peace. Final. Solid. Unshakable. After that night, something inside me locked into place. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't even vengeful. I was above it. Weeks passed. The exhibition accepted my full submission. Work offered a leadership track. I traveled. I grew. I thrived. Meanwhile, Jenna updated me. Liam lost his promotion. Margaret barely left the house. Their neighbors whispered. Their downfall wasn't my revenge. My rise was. On a quiet Sunday morning, I sat with coffee on my balcony. The sky was pink. The world was calm, and I realized something. I no longer needed closure. Because I had created my own. Rachel joined me. So, she asked, what's next? I smiled. Everything May told me I couldn't have. She clinked her mug against mine. To your freedom, she said. To my rebirth, I replied. And as the sun rose. So did I. The next morning felt different, lighter, brighter, like I had stepped into a version of myself I didn't recognize, but loved. I cooked breakfast for myself. Not out of duty, but out of peace. No footsteps rushing me. No voice ordering me. Just quiet music, warm sunlight, and a calm heartbeat. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the girl who left Margaret's house with a broken spirit. I saw a woman with plans. With dignity. With fire. I whispered to my reflection, I'm proud of you. And I meant it. I opened my laptop and stared at the email from the design agency. They had offered me a larger role. Better pay. More responsibility. Earlier, I might have hesitated. Felt unworthy. Felt small, but not today. I clicked accept. Without a second thought, Rachel cheered from across the table. That's my girl. Then she tossed a folder toward me. What's this? I asked. Opportunities, she said. Art contests. Freelance work. Workshops. Things you never had the freedom to try. I flipped through the pages slowly, and I felt something incredible. Possibility. Real. Tangible possibilities that evening. I applied to a design exhibition in Chicago, something I dreamed of years ago but never dared to pursue. As I hit submit, tears pricked at my eyes, not sad tears, relief ones, because this time, nobody could stop me. Later that week, my phone buzzed again. Rachel glanced at the screen. Don't tell me it's Liam again. It was, but not a call, a message. Elena, please. Everything is falling apart. Mom is sick with stress. I can't handle this. I need you. Please reply. I stared at the screen. Years ago, that message would have broken me. Today, it felt distant. Like reading someone else's tragedy. Rachel rolled her eyes. He didn't need you when he had you. He needs you now because he lost control. I deleted the message. No reply. No guilt. No hesitation. Rachel smirked. Cold.
Clear, I corrected. 3 days later.
Jenna texted me. You might want to know. Margaret fainted in the grocery store today. Liam took her to the hospital. I stared at the message. Rachel raised an eyebrow. You worried? I thought about it. Did I feel sympathy? Fear? Regret? No, just something simple. Closure. Margaret is sick because her control slipped, I said. She's not fainting from fear of scandal. She's fainting from losing power. Rachel snapped her fingers. Exactly. I placed my phone face down and returned to my work. Their chaos no longer dictated my life. Sometimes revenge is loud, explosive, dramatic, but sometimes it's silent success. A week passed. I flourished at work. My designs got praise. My confidence grew. Then one afternoon, my phone vibrated with an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Elena? Margaret's voice.
Thin, fragile, exhausted. What do you want?
You seem happy, she whispered. I closed my eyes for a moment. I am. Silence, a long one. Then, how? She asked, voice cracking. How are you happy without us? A small, humorless smile touched my lips. It was easy, I said. All I had to do was leave you. Margaret inhaled sharply. Elena, please. Talk to him.
He's falling apart.
He should, I replied. He built his world on lies. Her voice trembled. He's changed.
He regrets. Regret, I cut in, is not change.
I hung up. And this time, I didn't feel victorious. I simply felt free. A week later, something unexpected happened. An email arrived. Congratulations. Ms. Elena, your artwork has been shortlisted for the Chicago exhibition. I froze. I read the words twice. 3 times. My dream, the one stolen years ago, was alive again. I covered my mouth as tears slipped down my cheeks. Rachel ran into the room. What happened? I handed her my phone. She screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard. Elena, this is huge. This is your moment. I laughed and cried at the same time because she was right. This wasn't just a milestone. It was resurrection. 2 nights later, a knock echoed at my door. Rachel frowned. You expecting someone? No. I opened the door and froze. Liam. Standing on the hallway carpet, drenched from rain, breathing heavily, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. Elena. Please don't close the door. I didn't move, didn't speak. He looked broken, desperate, a man who'd lost everything. Elena. I'm sorry, he said, voice cracking. I'm so sorry. I ruined everything. Rachel appeared behind me like a shadow. Leave. Liam shook his head helplessly. Elena, please. Mom is falling apart. Jenna wants child support. I might lose my job. You need your servant, I said calmly. He flinched. No. I need you. I stepped forward, closer than comfort, but calmer than rage. No, Liam, I said softly. You need consequences. His face collapsed. Elena, please. Come home. I am home, I said. Stepping back and closing the door slowly, he put a hand against it desperately. Please don't do this, please, I whispered through the crack. You left me long before I left you. Then I shut the door in his face. Rachel locked it. We stood in silence, hearing his weak knocking fade into nothing. And for the first time, I felt an incredible peace. Final. Solid. Unshakable. After that night, something inside me locked into place. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't even vengeful. I was above it. Weeks passed. The exhibition accepted my full submission. Work offered a leadership track. I traveled. I grew. I thrived. Meanwhile, Jenna updated me. Liam lost his promotion. Margaret barely left the house. Their neighbors whispered. Their downfall wasn't my revenge. My rise was. On a quiet Sunday morning, I sat with coffee on my balcony. The sky was pink. The world was calm, and I realized something. I no longer needed closure. Because I had created my own. Rachel joined me. So, she asked, what's next? I smiled. Everything they told me I couldn't have. She clinked her mug against mine. To your freedom, she said. To my rebirth, I replied. And as the sun rose. So did I? The following week marked a decisive shift in Lena's life. Willow Ridge had become her sanctuary, a place where she could breathe without fear. Yet peace wasn't her final destination. It was simply the ground from which she would launch her storm. Ruby noticed the change. Before Lena even said a word, you're standing different, Ruby observed one morning as Lena adjusted a mannequin's dress. Straighter. Like you're ready for something. Lena tied the fabric knot, her hand steady. I think I am. Ruby smiled knowingly. Then let's begin phase 3. Ruby's plan was elegant in its simplicity. Before confronting Ethan and his mother, they had to be thrown off balance. People like them, Ruby explained over tea, fall apart when their control slips. We just have to loosen the screws. How? Lena asked. Ruby opened her notebook. We exploit their weakness, their reputation. Ethan's mother cared more about social image than anything else. Her flawless homemaker persona, her perfectly raised son, her ideal family. She bragged to neighbors, posted daily photos online, and sought validation like oxygen. And Ethan? Lena asked softly, Ruby's lips thinned. He cares about looking like the successful, in-control husband. He can't stand people thinking he lost something. So we hit their pride. Exactly. Lena didn't ask how Ruby knew so much about the psychology of toxic people. She suspected Ruby's past held shadows of its own. That evening, Ruby helped Lena create a brand new social media profile. Not for vanity. For power. Lena posted nothing personal. Only pictures of her designs, the boutique workspace, sunsets over Willow Ridge, and a caption, rebuilding. One stitch at a time. It wasn't dramatic or revealing. But it was enough. By the next morning, Ethan's mother had sent 17 frantic emails to Lena's old account. Where are you? Who took this picture? Why are you posting online instead of answering us? Ethan is furious. Come home immediately. Lena read them once, calmly. Good, said Ruby. Let them stew. Lena couldn't afford loose ends. Ethan and his mother had always insisted everything be in their name, her ID card, her bank account, even the house lease, but Ruby had connections. Within a week, Lena had her own bank account. Her internship turned into a paid trainee role. She got written confirmation of housing at Ruby's second cottage. And most importantly, her own legal address. You're no longer theirs, Ruby said softly as they filed the documents together. You belong to yourself now. It wasn't a dramatic moment, but tears blurred Lena's vision anyway. Signing her name felt like reclaiming her soul. Her new independence was a brick wall. Ethan wouldn't be able to break through it even if he tried. 2 days later, he tried. Lena was stitching a sleeve in the boutique. When she heard the bell above the door ring more violently than usual, she froze. That cologne, that posture, that irritated breath. Ethan, he stood in the doorway, his jaw clenched, his shirt slightly wrinkled, a sign he was losing control. Behind him stood a woman from the boutique staff, looking uncomfortable. Lena? She whispered. Someone's here for you. Ruby wasn't there. Mara wasn't there. Lena was alone. For a second, panic clawed through her. But she pushed it down. She turned around slowly. Ethan's eyes widened, not with relief, but offense. So this is where you've been hiding, he hissed. Hiding? Lena repeated softly, putting down the needle. I'm working. You think this, he gestured around the boutique with disgust, is more important than your husband? Lena's voice remained steady. Yes. That single word hit him like a slap. Ethan stepped forward too quickly, but since he had an audience, he stopped himself. His nostrils flared. You need to come home. Right now. I won't argue in public. I'm not going home, Lena said. The room went silent. Even the customer browsing scarves froze. Ethan blinked, stunned. What? I said, Lena repeated louder, I'm not going home. Mom said you're confused, Ethan snapped. That you're doing all this because you're emotional. Your mother doesn't get to define my reality anymore. His face reddened. You're my wife, and you treated me like a servant. Ethan opened his mouth but nothing came out. For the first time, Lena saw him speechless. He glared. You're coming with me. I won't ask again. Lena stepped back. If you touch me in this shop, it becomes a legal issue. Ethan froze. There it was. The shift of power. He wasn't afraid of losing her.
He was afraid of losing control. This isn't over, he spat.
Backing away, Lena stared at him with new eyes. It already is. He stormed out that evening. Lena received a message on her new number one only Ruby Mara. And the town office had. Her blood ran cold. Unknown. I found where you live, dear. We need to talk. Ethan's mother Lena showed Ruby the text with trembling hands. Ruby read it calmly. Good, we're ahead of schedule. Ahead? Lena whispered. She wants to confront me. She wants to intimidate you, Ruby corrected. But this time, she faces a version of you she's never met. Lena swallowed. What do we do? Ruby's eyes gleamed. We set the stage. The next morning, Lena dressed deliberately. A deep green blouse she designed herself. Jeans instead of the traditional skirts Ethan's mother used to force her to wear. Hair down, natural, confident. No rings. No symbols of ownership. Ruby arranged the living room like a battleground, chairs facing each other, a table in between. The front door wide open so nothing could be hidden or twisted later. Do not raise your voice, Ruby advised. Do not defend your past. Do not explain your choices. State facts. Nothing more. What if I break? Lena whispered. Ruby squeezed her hand. Then I'll be right here to catch the pieces. A car engine rumbled outside. Ethan's mother arrived. She stepped out in her usual pristine cardigan and pearl earrings. Her lips pursed like she'd swallowed vinegar. When she saw Lena in the doorway, she stopped walking. You look, she said slowly, eyes narrowing. Different. Lena stepped aside. Come in. Ethan's mother scanned every corner of the house like a queen judging a servant's quarters. She sat without being asked. Where is Ethan? She demanded. I don't know, Lena said. And I don't need to. Her eyes sharpened. This has gone far enough. You are embarrassing us. No, Lena replied calmly. I am freeing myself. You are my son's wife. She snapped. And he treated me like property. You're exaggerating. You always were dramatic. Ruby, sitting in the corner, finally spoke. You can't gaslight her here. Not in this house. Ethan's mother's head jerked toward Ruby, shocked. Who are you? Her friend, Ruby said. And the witness to this conversation. Ethan's mother's face drained of color. Witness. The one word that stripped her of power. What do you want? She hissed at Lena. Lena inhaled. Her voice didn't shake. I want my life back. And you will leave my son? The woman sneered. Yes. And you think you can survive without us? Lena smiled faintly. I already am. Ethan's mother stared at her, fury and disbelief battling in her eyes. This isn't over, she whispered. For you, Lena said softly. It is. She stood up. Ethan's mother, for the first time, looked. Then she left. The days after Ethan's mother's visit passed with an unusual stillness. It was the kind of quiet that sits before a storm, heavy, waiting, electric. Lena felt it in her chest every morning she woke up. Something was coming. And this time, she wasn't afraid. Ruby watched her with a mixture of pride and caution. You've taken back your voice, she said one evening as they closed the boutique. But the final confrontation won't be with his mother. It will be with Ethan. Lena knew she was right. Ethan wasn't done. People like him never ended things cleanly. They ended them when they believed they had the last word. But this time, he wasn't the one in control. 3 days later, Lena received an official-looking envelope in the boutique's mailbox. She froze when she saw the name Ethan Wilcox Legal UNOTIC. Her breath caught. Ruby rushed over. Let me see. Inside was a letter handwritten by Ethan, dramatic, angry, self-righteous. He accused her of abandoning her marital duties. He threatened to report her as a runaway wife. He demanded she return home immediately to preserve the marriage. And then the final blow. If you refuse, I will come to Willow Ridge myself and bring you home. Ruby clenched her fist.
He's escalating.
Lena's voice trembled, not from fear but fury. Let him come, she whispered. Ruby stared at her. Are you sure? Lena nodded. I'm done running. It happened on a warm Friday afternoon. Lena was alone in the boutique pinning lace on a new dress design. When the bell above the door clanged violently, her heart jumped. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Ethan. His eyes were bloodshot. His face tight with frustration, his hair disheveled. He looked nothing like the polished, charming man she once thought she married. Lena,
He said through clenched teeth. We're going. Now.
She set the lace down. I'm not going anywhere with you. You don't get to decide that. He took a step toward her. I tried being patient, but you've humiliated me long enough. She said nothing. Not a flinch. And her silence made him angrier. You think you can live here? He scoffed. With these small-town nobodies. You think you can survive without me providing for you? Without my mother guiding you? Lena lifted her chin. I'm doing more than surviving. I'm living. Living? He barked. You call this living? Designing stupid dresses? Posting pathetic pictures online? Lena didn't move. Yes, Ethan shook his head in disgust. You've lost your mind. No, she whispered. I found it. He stepped closer again, too close in instinct, told Lena to take a step back. But she didn't, not this time. Let's go, he ordered. I'm not leaving without you. You don't get to drag me around like furniture, Lena said. Ethan laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. You think you're strong now? Because you posted some pictures? Because this place, he waved at the boutique, made you think you're independent? He leaned in, voice low and dangerous. You will come home. Even if I have to carry you out of here. Take one more step, a voice said from behind Ethan, and I'll call the police. It was Ruby standing in the doorway, eyes blazing, phone in hand. Ethan turned. Stay out of this. It's a marital issue. Ruby didn't blink. Marital issues don't include threats or forced removal. That's illegal. Ethan scoffed, but Ruby continued. We have witnesses, CCTV, a community that knows her. And proof she's living independently by choice. He stiffened. His eyes flickered fear. Real fear. Lena, he said, grasping for composure. You're making a mistake. You're ruining everything for us. There is no us, Ethan.
He swallowed.
Don't do this. You did this, she said quietly. Every time you ignored me. Every time you let your mother insult me. Every time you made me feel less than human. For the first time, Ethan looked shaken. You owe me nothing now, Lena continued. Not loyalty. Not obedience. Not fear. Lena, please, I don't want to go back, she said firmly. I will never go back. Ethan stared at her, confusion, anger, disbelief twisting across his face. This isn't you, he insisted. Someone put these ideas into your head. No, she said. Someone took them out. Ruby moved to stand beside her. Ethan's gaze flickered between them, two women standing united against
Him. He looked small, powerless, cornered. This isn't over, he said weakly. It is, Lena replied.
For me, it's over. She turned her back to him. The ultimate dismissal. Ethan stood frozen. Then he exhaled, sharply defeated, and walked out of the boutique, for the first time in her marriage. He left and she stayed. Lena sank onto the nearest chair, trembling. Ruby knelt beside her. You were incredible, Ruby whispered. I was terrified.
Lena admitted. You still did it, Ruby said softly.
And that's what courage is. Lena wiped her tears. For the first time, they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of release. He won't come back, right? Lena murmured. He'll try, Ruby said honestly. But next time, you won't face him from a place of fear. You'll face him from a place of strength. Lena took a shaky breath. What now? She asked. Ruby smiled. Now, she said, we finish this. On your terms? The morning after Ethan's outburst felt strangely peaceful. Lena woke with a heaviness in her chest, but it wasn't fear, it was the weight of everything she had survived. And the awareness that the worst was already behind her. For the first time in a long time, she didn't wake up dreading a voice calling her name. She didn't wake up to insults disguised as constructive criticism. She didn't wake up wondering what would make Ethan or his mother angry today. She woke up free, but freedom is never the end of the story. It's the beginning. Ruby was in the kitchen making coffee when Lena walked in. Without a word, Ruby pushed a mug toward her. You need this, she said. Lena smiled weakly. Was I really that bad yesterday? You were powerful, Ruby corrected. But power takes energy. Lena wrapped her hands around the warm mug. I didn't think I could confront him. I thought I'd break. Ruby sat across from her. You didn't break, Lena. You bent. Hand bending isn't weakness. Bending means you survived. Lena let the words sink in. Is it really over? She finally asked. Ruby exhaled. He'll make noise. Toxic people always do when they lose control. But you hold the real power now. distance, truth, and a community that believes you. Lena took a sip of coffee, feeling something tighten inside her, then break open. Hope. That day, something unexpected happened. When Lena arrived at the boutique, Mara and 3 of the other women who worked there stood waiting. Their expressions were serious, but warm. "We heard what happened," Mara said softly. "Are you all right?" Lena's throat tightened. I think so." One of the older seamstresses stepped forward and touched her arm gently. He came in shouting like he owned the place. "But you stood your ground. We're all proud of you." Lena blinked hard, trying not to cry. In Ethan's world, she had been isolated, cut off, alone, but in Willow Ridge she wasn't alone anymore. Mara handed her an envelope. "We got the security footage from yesterday. If he tries anything again, we'll help you file a complaint." Lena stared at the envelope, overwhelmed. Why? Why are you all helping me?" Mara smiled. "Because someone helped me once too. And because you deserve a life that isn't lived in fear." Over the next weeks, things changed in ways Lena never imagined. Her designs at the boutique began gaining attention. Customers specifically asked for dresses she had worked on. Mara started giving her more creative freedom. "You have talent," Mara told her one evening as they closed the shop. "You've had it all along. It was just buried under someone else's expectations." Lena felt something bloom inside her pride. A small, fragile seed at first, but growing stronger each day. She posted another picture on her design page, a dress she had created from scratch. Soft fabric, elegant lines, something entirely hers. The caption read, "Becoming the woman I lost and the one I never knew I could be." The post exploded. Hundreds of likes. Comments from strangers cheering her on. Messages from people who had escaped their own toxic relationships. For the first time, her story wasn't something that held her down. It lifted others up. When someone loses control, they panic. And Ethan was panicking. Over the next week, he sent fake apologies, long emotional text voice notes, crying and begging messages blaming Ruby, accusations that Lena had been influenced, threats disguised as guilt trips. The more he saw her rise online, the more desperate he became, but Lena didn't reply. Not once. One evening she showed Ruby the latest message. Ethan's words were frantic, uneven. "Lena, please come back. Mom is sick. I can't do this alone. You belong with us. You're embarrassing me. I'll change. Just come home." Lena sighed. "If he was capable of changing, he'd have changed when I cried the first time." Ruby nodded. "He's not apologizing."
He's losing access.
"And control," Lena added. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, not from Ethan. From Ethan's mother. Handwritten. Elegant and poisoned with guilt, entitlement, and manipulation. Lena opened it in Ruby's presence. The letter read, "Lena, I raised my son to be strong, not to be humiliated by a wife who walks away. You were given a home, stability, and a family. And how do you repay us? By running away and playing victim in some small town. You need to come back before people start talking. I am willing to forgive you. Ethan is willing to take you back. But do not test our patience further." Lena almost laughed. Forgiveness? For what? Escaping slavery? Ruby stared at the letter. "Are you going to respond?" Lena shook her head. No, she isn't worth words anymore. Instead, she folded the letter neatly, placed it in her box of past memories, and closed the lid. A symbolic burial. Just when Lena felt she could finally breathe, something even bigger happened. Mara pulled her aside after a long workday. "I submitted your designs to a small regional fashion contest," she said. Lena blinked. "You what?" Mara grinned. "And they won you. Your dress made it to the finalists." Lena felt dizzy. "Mara, what if I'm not ready?" "You are," Mara said firmly. "You're more ready than you've ever been." Ruby burst into tears when she heard the news. "See? Not even Ethan could stop the version of you that was meant to exist." Lena hugged her tightly. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was rising. That night, Ethan sent one final message. Short, cold, defeated. Do whatever you want. We're done. For a moment, Lena stared at the screen, then she whispered the words she had earned. Finally. She blocked his number forever, that night. Lena stood outside Ruby's cottage, gazing at the stars. She whispered, "I will never let anyone shrink me again." The wind carried her words forward. And for the first time, she felt like the universe heard her. Like it agreed. Her story wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Lena woke earlier than usual the next morning. A soft golden sunrise spilling through her curtains. Something in her chest felt different, lighter, stronger, anchored. Today wasn't just another day. Today. She would close the chapter that had nearly destroyed her, and she would do it on her terms. The regional fashion event took place in a renovated historical hall. Place that looked like it held 1,000 stories in its walls. Beautiful fabrics, flashes of color, and the low hum of excitement filled the air. Ruby practically buzzed beside her. "Lena, look at you," she burst out. "You're glowing like you're on a runway yourself." Lena laughed softly, but inside, her heart was pounding. She wore a dress she designed, soft ivory, gentle shimmer, elegant structure. Not flashy, not demanding attention. Just her. A reflection of the woman she was becoming. "Don't be nervous," Mara whispered. "Just be present. That's enough." But Lena wasn't nervous, not exactly. She felt alive. She walked into the hall, carrying her design carefully. Judges examined the work, murmuring to each other. Contestants hovered nearby, eyeing her dress with curiosity, and then a camera crew approached. A woman with a friendly smile held a microphone. "You're Lena, correct? The designer from Willow Ridge?" Lena froze.
Yes.
"We've heard your story. Your work has caught the judges' attention. Do you mind telling us what inspires your designs?" Lena's breath caught. Her story? The one she tried to hide? The one that nearly broke her? This time she didn't tremble. She didn't look down. She lifted her chin. "My work is inspired by women who rebuild themselves," she said softly but clearly. "Women who survive and rise." The interviewer's smile widened. "That's powerful." Lena exhaled, a breath years in the making. Hours passed. Designs were displayed. Judges debated. Contestants paced. Finally, the head judge stepped up to the stage. "We are honored to recognize extraordinary creativity this year," he announced. "This designer's work shows courage, detail, and emotional depth." The whole room seemed to hold its breath, and then the award goes to Lena Hart. Ruby shrieked. Mara gasped. People turned to look at Lena, clapping, smiling, cheering. Lena froze in pure disbelief. She had won. Her dress, the one she created in a tiny boutique, sewing late into the night, had won. Ruby grabbed her shoulders, shaking her excitedly. "Go, go!" Lena walked up to the stage, tears glistening but her steps steady. When the judge handed her the award, a simple crystal plaque, he said, "You've been through something, haven't you?" Lena swallowed. "Yes, but I'm here now." "And you deserve to be," he said warmly. Standing on that stage, she felt something click deep inside her. She was not weak. She was not broken. She was not theirs. She was finally herself, back in their old town. Ethan watched the interview clip online. He clicked it by accident. Someone had shared it in a community group. Lena's face appeared on the screen, confident, glowing, successful. She spoke about survival. Rebuilding, rising. Ethan froze. His hands shook with rage. His mother rushed over. "What happened? Why are you—" But when she saw the video, rage twisted her face too. "She's lying," she screamed. "She's ruining our name." "No," Ethan said hoarsely. "She's living without us." And the realization broke them more than her leaving ever had. They hadn't just lost control. They had lost relevance. Lena's silence was louder than anything they could scream. When Lena returned to Willow Ridge, the whole boutique burst into celebration. Mara hung a sign out front. "Congratulations, Lena." Customers brought flowers. Ruby cried again. The town Instagram page posted her achievement. Lena stood in the shop, surrounded by people, real people who genuinely cared. I don't know what to say, she murmured. Ruby put her arm around her. Say what you've always deserved to say. Lena whispered, I'm proud of myself. She heard it really hurt it. And for the first time she believed it. Lena didn't seek revenge. She didn't need to. Her success was revenge. Her freedom was revenge. Her silence was revenge. Her growth was revenge. But fate has a way of tying loose ends neatly. A month later, Lena received an email from a major fashion blog. They wanted to feature her journey. Her work, her resilience. The article went viral. People shared it with captions like, inspiring. Proof you can rebuild after trauma. A story every woman should read. And buried deep in the article was one line. She escaped a household that treated her not as a wife, but as a servant, and turned her pain into art. They didn't name Ethan, they didn't expose him, but everyone who knew him knew. It was the cleanest revenge possible. Truth without bitterness. Strength without violence. And Lena never had to lift a finger. Months later, Lena sat on the hill overlooking Willow Ridge. The sunset painted the sky in orange and gold. Ruby joined her, sitting quietly beside her. What now? Ruby asked softly. Lena smiled, her eyes reflecting the fiery horizon. Now? She said. I create. I live. I love myself. And I never look back. Ruby took her hand. You did it, Lena. Lena shook her head gently. No, she said. I'm doing it. Every day. And with the last warm rays of daylight brushing her skin, she whispered, I'm free.